Hey everyone, welcome to Being Love TV's
Souls Talking Brain.
We are your co-hosts, your double goddess of Souls Talking Brain, Roni Lipstein and
Aline Ohannessian.
Bliss to have you here with us today. We have a very, very interesting show for you all today. Have you ever thought about, we've heard oftentimes people talking about life after death, asking the questions, is there life after death? But how often have you questioned where we came from before we were here?
So it's more
in
like,
other words,
life before
birth.
Yes,
before
life
birth.
before
life
life.
before life. Or life before birth. And that's what today's show is all about. We will be touching upon life after death or life after life, but today's show is more centered around life before birth and whether questions like, do we choose to come here? Do we choose our parents? Is there a predetermined purpose for our existence? Is there a soul plan that we have, a reason for being that we are here to experience and to be the example of for others to be able to experience and see? So we shall be delving into questions like this today with our very special guests.
Our guests, yes. As Elizabeth Carman and Neil Carman, both authors of Cosmic Cradle. And
I can show you.
There we go.
Sorry, she gave me the look and I didn't catch on. There you go. Cosmic Cradle, beautiful. Nice book.
And just a little bit of a background with our guests today. Elizabeth Carman is a leading author of Cosmic Cradle, Spiritual Dimensions of Life Before Birth. Elizabeth is a pre-birth awareness educator and former social worker. Through interviews with mothers, Elizabeth explored the link between higher consciousness and motherhood, childbirth. Elizabeth learned from mothers who transcended pain and gave birth in ecstasy. Due to their heightened sensitivity, mothers also bonded with their future children in dreams and telepathic visions. Elizabeth interviewed parents and children who were born with memories of birth, womb time, conception, and even life before conception. Ooh.
And her partner and co-author, Neil Carman, co-author of Cosmic Cradle, Spiritual Dimensions of Life Before Birth, taught biology and the science of consciousness on the university level. Environmental interests inspired his more than 30-year career on protecting air quality in Texas and nationwide. He has spent over 40 years investigating consciousness through meditation. In their newest book, Conscious Cradle, Spiritual Dimensions of Life Before Birth, Elizabeth and Neil have synthesized 45 years' worth of research, historical accounts, and first-hand natural experiences of the pre-birth realm. Whoa! That's quite something.
Oh, it's quite something that the whole before coming into life before life kind of before life type of thing is in and of itself interesting. So we're going to give a call to our guests right now. This should be interesting as I'm very, 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 very excited to really understand what this is all about. So, give us one moment. As we try to call. Oh, they are offline. Let's see if we can try to get them to...
Need video love now.
Hello?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We would like to also see you so that our viewers can take a look at you.
Yes, I'm working on that.
Oh, wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful.
Don't we have to
I
put
can't see you folks, though.
Yeah, well, we can definitely show you ourselves as well and show people you as well all together. Here we go.
Yay!
Hello.
Wonderbar.
Welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Soul Talking Brain Show. It is a pleasure to meet with you here in person. Well, virtually.
Thank you for the opportunity. Pure bliss.
Yes.
Absolutely. So, is Neil going to be joining you today?
Unfortunately, we got the time schedule a little bit off, and I was telling him it's 7 o'clock because we're in a different time zone than you folks. We're in Texas, so it's better if he doesn't come in the middle of the night thing. So I sent him a message. He's planning to, but maybe next time we can have this. We'd love to come back.
Absolutely.
Right,
well, we look forward to that.
I wanted to actually make mention your sound is very low. Do you have a microphone, or do you have that you can come closer to the microphone, or?
Let's see. I bought a special microphone, but maybe it's better to do with the internal mic. So let me try to switch over to that.
So we apologize to everybody. This is the age of technology, and these are the...
Any improvement?
Yes, well, this is much better, yes, than it was in the beginning, yes.
Okay, well, I bought a special mic because I wanted to make sure it was good. But anyway, we will just use the computer today.
It's all good. Thank you again. Now we're hearing you much louder and much better.
Good.
So why don't we get right into the Cosmic Cradle? One of the first questions that I've received from a number of the individuals that I spoke with when sharing with them that we were having you on as a guest and what the book was about was the question, how and where did you get your information from? They wanted to know how it was possible to be able to have the understanding that you do with respect to pre-life or pre-birth life experiences. So if you might be able to share that with our viewers, that would be wonderful.
I would love to share that. That's a very long story and has many different aspects to it. First of all, the research began when I was living in a spiritual community of people practicing a meditation technique and meditating together every day and on a spiritual quest to unfold their full potential. So you could call it a spiritual incubator. It was a university, a special university, and a writing program, and decided that I would explore this subject. I wanted to know what spiritual experiences mothers were having on the way to giving birth to their babies. And I started out with interviews with women who were giving birth without any pain, actually in ecstasy. And I thought that was the end of it. But then they started to unfold more and more of the story. And so the information from that point has just gone, because we have stories pouring in every day. I literally cannot keep up with all of that information that's coming. So what we're looking for are people that are born with memory of life before birth. And that's 4 different stages. They could be born with memory of coming down the birth canal and a forceps or a cord wrapped around their neck or a pleasant experience in a water birth. That's one stage. You can
Okay.
go back. Womb time. What do they remember about being in mama's womb?
Mm-hmm.
Do they remember coming into mama's womb? Do they remember going in and out of mama's womb? What do they remember? Okay, that's another aspect. Then you can go back further. Conception. Women that are aware of the time of conception, they don't need a pregnancy test. Maybe a pillar of white light came down over them in the bedroom. She and her husband said, oh, we are conceiving a baby. I think it's happening. So very mystical experiences, because these people have, their awareness is open beyond the five senses. They're able to tell us what's happening behind the scenes. And then beyond that, we have, before we've even identified with a physical body, pure soul existence. People remember that. They're born with memories of that. It's rare, but it does happen. So this is one aspect of the research. It's coming from people who are born with these memories. There's no regression. There's no hypnosis. There's no psychics trying to figure it out. So we wanted to just find people that were born with this natural ability to just recall. And also the research that we cover in our book goes into all the different cultures and religions. What did the North American Native Americans say about this? The Australian Aborigines? What did Plato write about it? What did they say in Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, African peoples? And so I got the information from wherever I could find it. But go ahead.
So, and from my understanding, when I was reading the book, because oftentimes people question other people's accounts, there were a lot of accounts that you had made mention to her that were shared that later on were validated. So for example, you mentioned the couple who might have this white beam of light and they're like, oh my gosh, we're conceiving a child right now, which was later verified by the fact that they found out they were pregnant. And then if a woman had a dream that she was going to have a baby, that was later verified that she was pregnant. And then if she had some kind of a vision where the child introduced themselves as being a female and here to do X, Y, and Z, and then when that child was born, they were a female and they did do X, Y, and Z. So I just wanted to bring that in as well, because people oftentimes are looking, before they're even open enough to hearing the information that you have to share, they're looking for the validation and the verification. And that was something that I found was presented in the book by the recounts of the people that you've interviewed, where there was these mystical experiences that people had, but the mystical experiences were actually later authenticated by materialized experiences in life itself. Is that fair to say?
Yes, and those are the strongest cases. Of course, you can't verify every flash of memory that these people have, because a lot of this is happening prior to having a physical body. But parents have validated their memories of conception, which is a very embarrassing situation. Have a child, Mom, was I placed with you and Dad when you were in the front seat of a car? What? Do you want to think that your child was looking down through a portal from the higher worlds? Anyway, the parents, and we have another case where it was a very embarrassing situation where the husband came home at lunch and told the wife, let's go in the bathroom. She said, well, I have to put my diaphragm on. Oh, one time isn't going to hurt. That was all it took. And this person said they were there in the ethers, and they knew that was their window. That was their door. They've been hanging out and waiting for that moment. And so a connection happens then. I'm not saying that the soul is embodied during the whole 9 months, but there is some kind of connection that takes place right at the beginning.
Right at the beginning, before
even conception.
This is before even conception. So this is during the time when it's about to connect each other on a cellular level.
Yeah, all these things are planned out way in advance. The souls that are incarnating, we have people that remember planning their life, kind of like watching different movies in heaven and seeing, well, let's see, do I want to be in a comedy? Do I want to be in a drama? How about a mystery? And who's going to be on stage with me in this life? So putting together, cooking up a movie. And so I think the more mature the soul is, the more freedom the soul has to select what kind of a movie he wants to be in down here. This is all just a big drama for our soul.
Right. So what happens if once we get down here, we've decided that we don't like the drama or the movie that our soul has selected?
Well, just do the best you can. There's challenges for all of us. People say, well, why would I pick a mother who's bipolar, who beat me and then, left me, or all these horrible things? I always say, well, I think it was Dr. Phil, on his show, he was making a joke one day, and he was talking about family life in America, or could be anywhere in the world, but he was saying, well, he said there's a rumor that there's one functional family somewhere living up in the mountains of Montana, but nobody's ever seen them. But, we hear that they do exist. So, what choices do we have?
That's
how many perfect situations are out there? And we do the best we can with what we have. And it's all a learning situation.
Right.
I know that there was how many documentations through of the different people that have had the experiences with respect to these experiences that have actually pre-life experiences, like remembering them actually making the decision to choose their parents and so on and so forth. How many different documented are there, the different people?
How many are absolutely validated, you want to know?
Yes.
I haven't counted that up. We interviewed for this second book, this one you're reading, about 100 people. I'd have to go through and count. I have not done that. That's a very good question for me to have an answer for next time. But it is in the index, in the back of the book. You can look up validated. And I think we even missed a couple. So there were more validated, because I remember we kind of goofed on the index a little bit. So there were a few more of those. But those are the strong ones. And in our next book that we're working on, that's one of my top criteria now. And basically we're working with the children and the validated memories of the children right now. But go ahead.
No, it's very interesting because, and it's also, is it also documented the parts of the world that these people are coming from, or is it just in one area? Is it in the States that this is happening?
No, it's all over.
So it's all over. So it's what are the main countries that these people have come forward and shared these stories?
Because I'm here in the United States, this is where my focus has been. But there's research that's being done in Japan. We're in touch with a medical doctor, an obstetrician in Japan, who's written numerous books. Some of them are in English, many of them are in Japanese. He's actually going to be writing a chapter for our next book, and he's got some amazing... in Japan, they can do more research. He sent out questionnaires to all the nursery schools in Japan, just about, okay? Well, I don't think there's that much receptivity here in the West to this. So there's that. There's Germany. There's people in Germany, the Netherlands, who have written about this and published books, and in the United States. But it is almost a taboo topic.
Well, of course, anything that is unseen is going against the grain of what we've been conditioned to give any kind of actual attention, serious attention to. So that's why we wanted to just give some time to explaining that and giving you the opportunity to speak with respect to that. Let's get into the fun stuff now. So you have interviewed several individuals and have found across the board with all of these different individuals some sort of a consistency with respect to the life before birth experiences. Can you speak to us a little bit about some of those consistencies that you have found in the various stories that you have been that have been related to you?
Well, we actually have 12 different elements. I don't know if that's kind of what you're thinking of now. In our introductory chapter, we speak about the 12 different elements that we're finding a common pattern that people remember being pure soul, being pure spirit, that this physical body that they're finding themselves in is not the real person, is not their real nature. They're more than that. They're deeper than that, and it's something that's very blissful, very expanded. And so it's like coming into a little cage. When you come into this body, you're condensed in a little package. So there's that feeling of they are more than this physical body, this physical life.
Okay.
Their identity is not with their personality or their body. And they also know that many of them don't have a fear of death because they know they've existed before they came into this body, and some of them even have past life memories and the interlife periods between those lives. And so there's a feeling that this physical existence that we have here again is not all there is, that life goes on and there's no need to feel death. I mean, a fear of death. Little children will say to their mother, why are people afraid of dying? They might see something on television and the mother will try to explain to a little 2 or 3-year-old and they'll say, well, I don't have any fear of death. I'm going back to where I came from. And she said, oh, you mean that place you always talk about? Yeah, that's where God is, and it's really nice there. Or we had another little boy that said every time his mother was walking him to day school, he was saying, Mama, I just want to die again and again so I can go back to heaven. And I want to die. And the mother says, hey, no, don't say things like that. That's not the way it's supposed to be. You're not supposed to die before Mama and Daddy, And so the little boy just has these memories of this wonderful place. And so there's this feeling. And also there's a common element of planning, pre-birth planning, that our lives are not an accident. Many people remember picking out their parents.
Okay.
And picking out whether they're going to have an easy life or a hard life. And surprisingly, we find people, you were bringing this up earlier, why would somebody choose something difficult? I mean, that's very logical.
Well, why would they?
Pick something cool.
Right.
And so we have people that chose the most difficult life because there was more to gain spiritually from that experience. That's like, they just looked at it as they were going to be in a particular movie, and that's the character they wanted to play. And
so this is something that Grimes spoke to, right?
Yeah, okay.
Right. This is something that another one of our guests actually spoke to, because oftentimes people do question, if I had the choice to come or not to come, and I had the choice to have an easy life or a difficult life, why would I choose to come to have a difficult experience? Why would I choose to have this experience if I'm coming from this land of all bliss and all happiness? Why the hell would I choose to come to something that for some people is defined as hell, and then make the choice to make it even more difficult? So we had another guest on who had actually spoken to the fact that most souls, the reason that we come to Earth is that it is essentially like a spiritual fast track to increasing our vibration, that we can, when we are out of body and we are in this place of God, are more matured and have more access to higher levels. So is this something that you would say has been something that you have also heard through the accounts of people that you've spoken with?
I definitely agree with that. It's like we are in another state of consciousness when we're choosing this life. And so when we're more localized in our consciousness in the body, it doesn't make any sense. But from a more expanded perspective, which we're probably not able to appreciate unless we're going to be able to expand our consciousness to be like a Buddha or something like that, then we can appreciate why all this happened. But the human mind has a difficult time understanding this. But Beverly, one of the people that we interviewed, had many, many memories of, I'd like to just give a little example of her.
Of course.
Beverly had so many memories, the being born, being in the womb, being conceived, and before conception, and then past lives and the interlife planning between those lives. She said that she would plan 8 or 9 lifetimes in advance, and like your curriculum, and you're going to go to high school, and then you're saying, well, in college I'll take this, and then I'll do a master's degree, and how about a PhD and a postdoc, and all. So they're planning in advance like that. So
was there in all these descriptions? Sorry to interrupt, but I'm just really curious. Was in all these descriptions that they are explaining? She's explaining where she's at, and she's remembering all this before she's even, before she was even conceived. Does she see anything? Does she explain anything that she, as opposed to just a memory of thought, is she seeing something physically? Does she remember what something was looking like where she was when she was seeing herself choosing?
I'm not 100% sure what you're asking, so maybe you could rephrase that a little bit. I'm not sure.
Of course.
Sounds like a good question, but
yes, it's in these memories that they're coming. For example, you're talking about Beverly, who has had a lot of more so with respect to remembering, and then saying that she remembered choosing and multiple lifetimes. You said, right? She was remembering choosing a lot more than most other children, most other people. Does she explain when she remembers? Does she remember in vision? Does she remember
where she was at and what it was like where she was at when she was making those choices?
Well, I think I understand. She remembers subtle details, all kinds of details about these past lives. I mean, what she ate and what she wore, and all kinds of details like that. I don't know if that's what you're getting at here.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah.
What happened in this case is she came into this incarnation at a high level of awareness where she, at the age of 2 and 3, she remembered how she had come into the body. She would actually have nightmares because she would wake up screaming because she said, I remember coming down through this tornado hole into the body with a thud. And her mother was trying to understand, what is she talking about? And she also had past life memories. And she'd wonder, she'd wake up in the morning and she'd say, well, where are the servants? They're supposed to be here serving me breakfast in bed. Or she'd get up and look in the mirror and say, well, how come I'm white? I'm used to having these big, charismatic, dark bodies. And she's a tiny little blonde-haired girl. And so she had these. But then at the age of 8, she had a near-death experience. And she was thrown off a horse and had a head concussion. And she said, when that happened, she said, I saw all my costumes, all my lives.
Which are her bodies.
So it was through a near-death experience that all the memory came. And then when she came back after that, she's only 8 years old, she had full memory. And this woman works as a clairvoyant and a healer today. She is very expanded consciousness.
This is the same woman. She's older now. She's
this woman now is like in her 40s, but she at age 8, the whole thing opened up to her.
So
she's got amazing.
So she had more memories come after this particular experience that she almost lost her own life. she had more memories come in after this particular experience.
Yes, the near-death experience, she said she had a big download of information, all the past lives.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is not so far-fetched with respect to the majority of people, with respect to people being more open with respecting to this kind of information, is that, yes, when we are about to end our lives, they say that, your whole life flashes before your eyes.
That's right.
To which degree of how much of your whole life...
Right, just all of your lives.
Which part of your life, and what is it? How much is it? How much of it is the? Because we also don't really know anything as far as everything that we do know. We still don't know much. What we do know is speculation, theories, and things that should be considered, because it is ourselves, our human beings who are living here, who are experiencing whatever it is that we're experiencing or finding out and being documenting and so on and so forth throughout centuries. So it's very interesting, and it's definitely the crazier the better, because the crazier it is, the fact that we are living here, you and I existing on this planet in and of itself is crazy.
It's all a miracle.
Exactly.
Could I continue telling?
Absolutely. Absolutely, please do.
Okay, she, in our second book, we had 2 chapters on Beverly. In this current book, we have 1 chapter on her. That's how much information there is.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened is she remembers these elitist lifetimes where she was like a Persian princess, mm-hmm. or an Egyptian priestess, or just royalty, blue blood lives, where she had great power and ability to do whatever she wanted. And she was not happy with her performance, she said. In many cases, she was abusive to people, especially when she was a man. She was abusive to the women. Anyway, we don't need to go into all those details, but at one point in the interlife period, after so many of these lifetimes, she had very, the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
She said she reflected and thought, I've had it pretty good. I've been blue blood all these lives. I've had charismatic bodies. I've had everything I've wanted. Maybe it's time for me to say thank you from where all this is coming. I have been, she was not totally, what should we say?
Humble.
She's very egotistical.
Mm-hmm.
And so she decided the way to learn gratitude was to choose a life of a woman born in the Appalachian Mountains in pure poverty, married and had 5 kids, and they lived in a dirt shack, not even a floor. And then her husband left her with these kids. She had a fragile body. She couldn't work. Kids died on her in her arms.
Mm.
So she said, I only needed to do it once.
So this is what she chose. This is what her saying that she chose this, or this.
Basically, your soul chooses whatever it chooses,
mm-hmm.
so that you have the opportunity to experience what is required for you to have the spiritual growth, the growth
mm-hmm.
of consciousness
mm-hmm.
that your soul feels is required by you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she only needed to do it once. She said, I didn't do this for God. I didn't do this for the angels. I did it for myself. In fact, the angels were probably saying to her, you don't have to have it that hard, do you? You don't have to be that hard on yourself. But she said she's very strong-willed, and she wanted, and she said she only needed to do it once this lifetime. She's very loving, compassionate person, and she has those spiritual powers, but she's not abusing them.
Did she? And maybe you said this, I'm not sure, but does she say how many lifetimes that she had in her explanations? She actually says that, or does she just go back into one?
No, she's had many.
Oh, she's had many.
she remembers, I think, 11 lifetimes in ultimate detail,
Okay.
and maybe 30 others, little pieces of them. But what happened is, in my interview with her, I said, Beverly, how far back does your memory go? Because she was telling me, she even remembers being in the Garden of Eden. And she also, if we want to extend it, I didn't write about it because it was too far out. She remembers being on other planets. I said, I'm not going to go there. This book's far enough and far out enough. So let's not extend beyond that. So I said, how far back?
Mm-hmm.
She said, I remember coming from the all that is.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being spat out, pushed out like a particle of light. And I was like a little star streaming through the universe. And she said, I did not know where I was going, but I felt pure exhilaration, like I'm going on this great adventure, like you're getting ready for this great vacation
Mm-hmm.
that you've been planning for years.
Mm-hmm.
So she remembers coming from source.
Mm-hmm.
And we have several other people who have these most primordial memories.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting though. It's you've got science as well who sort of looks at the different monitoring how the brain is, the different functionalities of the brain, and so on and so forth. I'm interested if these people were somewhat put into monitorization when it comes to their memories, because a memory is a functionality of a frequency that is coming from our brain, and today with technology you can actually see the same way as how the brain is functioning, what signals it's sending. With these people with their memory, it's interesting to have somebody like myself who has no memory of any of these things. I only have my memory of my lifetime, and that sometimes I forget. So it's interesting to see, with respect to where memory is concerned, if biologically or scientifically any of these things were ever sort of tested or what's the right word I'm looking for? Perhaps even observed, monitored. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
It would be very interesting.
That's a good question. One of the Lorenzo,
Mm-hmm.
who has wonderful memories, has been tested in an EEG laboratory, not for any particular memory, but it's a related answer to your question.
Yes, yes. Mm-hmm.
His brain waves were extremely coherent, advanced compared to normal people.
That's exactly what I'm wondering, yes.
Yeah, so these people, whether they're thinking about their memories or not, it doesn't matter. Their brain waves are going to register a higher frequency.
Right.
There's something different operating there.
Exactly. Right. That's just it. It's no matter what it would show that these particular people who have and who claim and express that they have these memories going from past this lifetime would definitely physically, scientifically show, and it'd be interesting to perhaps maybe to have that as an addition of these people actually going. Maybe you could do a whole research for these people and then document it and then show medically that these people have different frequencies that is quite different than the average human like myself and you who do not experience these things.
Yeah, I think there's been research in the area of brainwave chemistry, if you want to call it that, of people in higher states of consciousness. It hasn't been an area that I've particularly been interested in, but that certainly is something that can be done.
If I can ask back to what you are more interested in and what you have researched with respect to the pre-life experiences that people have spoken to, do they say that they have to come? Like the one person, Beverly, was saying that she was spat out basically, but she was exhilarated and happy that she was going to be having this. Do most people feel like it's something that is put on them, or it's something that is a choice? Like, do we have to come here? Is it a necessity for the soul to come and have this experience? And do we have to keep coming back?
Okay, you're asking a big question here. So let's look at it first from the source.
Okay.
In the scriptures of ancient India, which is probably the most spiritual country on the planet, there's a Upanishad that says,
right,
talking about the source or the oneness, I am one, let me be many. And it exploded out as like sparks, so individual souls coming out who were divine, but in a limited package, okay?
right.
And so that I don't think we have much control over. Mm-hmm. So that's out of my ballpark. Now, when you ask, well, what about these souls who are coming in for this particular lifetime right here today? Because I think this source happened a long time ago, and there's probably cycles of that happening, and going back to that source. That's what enlightenment is, going back, the journey back. But it's, there's some things to do along the way, some lifetimes. So it's an interesting question you're asking, because we talk about the eager souls, those that, they're so excited, they want to come here and just have a good time in this relative world and experience things through the five senses. And then there's those that say, hey, no way, I've done it before. I don't want to do it again. In fact, in the Jewish tradition, there's a beautiful little story about this, and it's about the reluctant soul. And it says that the time comes for this soul to be born on earth, and God says, tells the angel, go bring me such and such a soul, and it's going to get ready to go into this particular sperm over here, and have this mother and father. And so the angel goes and gets the soul, and the soul comes before God and says, God, please don't kick me out of paradise. It's too beautiful here. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm going to get spoiled and ruined. It's contaminated down there. And God, the divine, interacts and explains, this is part of your process of growth, and convinces it that it's a good thing to do. So, yes, I think there are legitimate experiences of reluctance. We have both sides of it. We have people that are very eager, even for a difficult situation. Let me just give one example of somebody eager. This is Dr. Cheryl. Actually, we have a little YouTube where she talks about her experience a little 5-minute YouTube. She said she was in this beautiful place of pure love, way off the scale, and she felt she was with light beings. We weren't one with the main light or the full all light, but we were little light beings, and we were all anticipating, just like getting ready, just like children get excited for Christmas. Mm-hmm. We felt like that, and we were choosing our parents. And she said, I looked down and I said, wow, wouldn't that be a challenging situation to be born in that dysfunctional family that doesn't want me? And she said, what if I could turn that around? Wouldn't that be fantastic? So people can read what happened in that story of Cheryl. That's an amazing experience. Somebody excited about a real challenge.
Mm-hmm. Opportunities for growth.
It's also it's interesting. Do these people are they seeing their future and what's going to happen before they're deciding, or they're just deciding, well, these are the people that's available and these are who they are? But it seems to me from what you were saying that they also somewhat kind of know what's coming at them, what's coming to them in the future, type of thing. So it's kind of like they know where they're coming from, they know where they're going. In fact, they're choosing it, and then they know what's going to happen after. So it's, do you know what I mean? Do they see?
They see like watching computer screens.
These people are like superhumans.
Like we are superhuman when we're not in this body.
I was going to say, they're not.
Well, we're not human if we're not in this body.
It's not that they're superhuman, love. It's just that they remember when we weren't in the body. So, according to their recollections, every one of us is making a choice as to what kind of life we want to have with respect to the spiritual growth that we are wanting on that soul level. And then we make the choice as to, you know, these parents would be ideal for me to be able to learn X, Y, and Z, and this type of life would be good.
But they're also remembering also the other ones that they came from and other
Well,
ones.
when you're on the soul level, you remember everything.
Yeah, but what's so interesting is they don't have an answer for anything. They don't remember anything except for just their lives that they've lived before this particular life. You said there's some of them remember coming from source, but they're not really explaining what source is or have an explanation for what really all of this is. Or do they?
You said they don't have an explanation for what source is. Is that what you just asked?
Yeah, I'm wondering if they do, because you mentioned that. So this one person.
Yes. The most amazing light, the most amazing love, and why would anyone want to go there? Leave there, okay? It was very difficult. It's like leaving your best friend. You know, how could I go? But then there's this natural tendency to want to venture out.
Well, it's the life in and of itself is quite a mystery, and these people are quite incredible that they have, and they're regular people, right? Like you and me. They're not suffering any hardships in life or any specific mental problems. They're just regular.
Yes, they're just regular people.
It's important to know that these people who are these people, exactly. So it's not who it's coming from.
They're functioning as best they can in this world, just like the rest of us.
Exactly.
I mean, they're not put away or anything like that,
yes.
obviously.
Yes.
I mean, I'm finding these people, and right now I'm focusing on the children, and these are just children who are completely innocent. They're using words that they have never heard before. They've never talked about being in heaven or God or the light or these kinds of things. And where are they getting these ideas from?
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
Okay, if we can actually, because we're getting close to the end of the show, if we can actually focus a little bit on some of the things, because I found that to be very fascinating. You had some stories where children were born into families that were completely, whether it be non-religious or atheist in completion, and then these children are coming up with these ideas where they have not been exposed to the ideology, the theology, and yet are coming up with all of this information. If we can maybe get a couple of examples from the children that you've interviewed, I think that would be wonderful for our audience members to be able to hear that.
Are you thinking of Little Catcher by any chance? Or
well, that was one of them, yeah.
Okay. Hey, little Catcher, you know, they hadn't talked about heaven or God. He'd never been to Sunday school. He lived out in the country, didn't have any connection to other children. He lived kind of a quiet life, and yet he started talking to his mother about remembering heaven. I remember heaven, and I was there, and I chose you, Mommy. And everybody chooses. And then he would remember past lives. Mommy, I remember... you weren't my mommy the last time. I had a different mommy, and she was it's shocking to these people. Of course. They don't. A lot of them don't know anything about reincarnation, and then they're hearing it from their children and being educated for the first time. So these are the most convincing cases like this, and also he had. Catcher had the ability to know when his mother she had a miscarriage when he was maybe 3 years old, and he was asking about the baby up until that point, and then all of a sudden he's not talking about he was all excited and gave the baby a name and everything, and then she miscarried and he stopped talking about it. And then one day he took the remote from the television and he put it on her belly, and she said, "What are you doing?" "Oh, I'm talking to the baby." "Well, catcher, I've told you there's not a baby in there anymore." And he says, "Yes, there it is. And it's a different baby. And it's a little girl, and it's a different baby this time." And she said, "Okay." And then what happened is she had a pregnancy test, and she did have a child. So these children have abilities and gifts besides their memories, having a psychic awareness and of their unborn,
heightened intuitive
insight.
Insight. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. And that's I'm so happy that you brought up that story, because that was the kind of thing that, when I was reading, and to be able to have that validation for what you're reading, where there's this premonition and then all of a sudden validation in the physical, that it's almost impossible to be denying the authenticity of what you're hearing. And it's happening so consistently that, which is what got me so excited when I read the book, and to have you on the show and to be able to share all of this information that you're having. Is there anything with respect to those of us in the here and now that you might be able to, some modicum of insight, maybe some advice with respect to fulfilling our soul's purpose, to making the best that we can of this experience that we're having while we are here, that we can leave our viewers with?
Well, the most important thing is to invest in your spirit, in your soul. That's the eternal part of you, and that's the part that you're going to be taking with you when you leave here. And not, so as my personal life has had a strong orientation to meditation, I don't think I could handle this lifetime with its ups and downs without having that time out to go within and to make contact more and more with who is inside my deeper core.
Your
and so as
authenticity, yes.
meditators, I mean, other people can do other paths, but this has been my personal path. It is a way to have that experience along with the physical relative world. And this is what all the great teachings have come down through the ages. Christ said, "Seek the kingdom of heaven within you." What was he talking about? The kingdom of heaven within you. Go inside, settle down, settle the mind down, and experience your inner pure bliss. Or the ancient Greeks who talked about know thyself, and you will know the universe and the gods. Know thyself. Self with a capital S, your higher self. So we invest, that is what we need to invest in. If we're living in a very materialistic world, but consciousness is definitely rising. I'm finding so much inspirational experiences of people that are just shifting just through a pregnancy, where there's a soul coming in who's very high and is just shifting the whole mother's direction of her life. It's just amazing what's happening. And so whatever we can do, motherhood is a legitimate path. Motherhood is a very, very high path, the path of unconditional love.
Indeed.
So,
indeed. A huge gift. Huge
life coming through.
Huge universal gift. 100%.
And right now we have more and more higher beings who want to incarnate, and they want mothers to be ready and able to handle their energy. So mothers need to watch their diets and watch the influences, the negativity, the pollution, all of that. We need to clean up our house as much as we can internally, so that if we want to be a mother of one of these special beings, these are very blessed divine higher incarnations who want to come into the planet, because the earth is going through a huge transformation to a different age. So that's my message to women who want that might be their path.
Right.
Thank you very much for that. I definitely for sharing that with all of our viewers. It's really definitely a very wonderful, very special thing to remember and to take with ourselves as we go on to day. So yes, definitely. Is there anything else that we needed to get into as we are coming to a close?
Oh, there is so much else that I could get into.
If we could get into it, we do not have.
But we only have 4 minutes left. So in this time, I just wanted to say, Elizabeth, thank you so very much for the dedication of yourself and Neil to the growth and blossoming of consciousness for the benefit of all of we. Thank you so much for being here today and sharing. It is not a world majority-wise that is necessarily one that it is easy to share this information and wisdom within, that is embracing, and to be able to have the courage and the confidence to do so. We are deeply, deeply grateful to you for so doing and for sharing. Please do send forth our gratitude to Neil as well. And as you had mentioned, you are doing more with respect to accumulating more information that you will be sharing. Please do stay in touch with us so that we know we can have you back as guests on our show and to be able to expand upon the information that you're sharing, and hopefully to be able to create a dialogue not only with ourselves but with our viewers and there beyond. The more people, yes, the more that we expand the information, the more people that get involved and start even just questioning, even if there's a complete and utter disbelief, just to be able to question in and of itself is opening up that crack of potential for more love and light to come forward.
The possibilities are endless.
Yes, and to all of you for joining us here this evening on Being Love TV Souls Talking Brain Show. Thank you so very much. And please do stay in touch, get in touch if there are special guests, special subjects that you would like us to delve further into. Get in touch with us. You can write to us at beinglovetv at beinglove@oneisall.com with your suggestions, ideas, or just to drop a message in and get in touch. So we look forward to hearing from you and to seeing you on the next Being Love TV's Souls Talking Brain Show. Blessedly be, everyone.
Souls talking brain, enlightened minds, seeking out truths, seeing the world with the mind of those who see beyond the three-dimensionally. Souls talking brain, ask the right questions, uncovers the blind.